Chargers, they got a problem. Brandon Staley's got a problem. Do you know his record since last December is 2-5? They've lost 5 of their last 7 games dating back to the end of last season and their start this season. League, I think, has caught up to some of the creative stuff that Brandon Staley did. That's an issue. The quarterback got hurt. That's an issue. And then they got devastated last week, losing their left tackle, Rashawn Slater, for the year with a torn bicep, losing Joey Bosa for maybe most of the year with a torn groin. And they've got a whole bunch of other nagging injuries. John, they got 14 weeks left in the regular season, and they have an injured quarterback that's not at 100%, and I don't care what Brandon Staley says. They lost the most important offensive lineman they had. They lost their best pass rusher. They don't have their high-priced cornerback yet, J.C. Jackson, who has been slow to recover from this preseason ankle procedure, and now the fact that they played him, and he seems to have had a setback there. They got 2 road games in a row. They go to Houston, then they go to Cleveland. Brandon Staley's got his hands full. He's trying to rationalize a lot of different things as to whether Justin Herbert should have been allowed to play at maybe 70% capacity last week, whether he should have let him stay in the game when they were down by 28 points and getting their doors blown off, and what is he going to do? What is he going to do at left tackle? Who's going to be the defensive end? Those 2 guys, the loss of Slater, the loss of Bosa, huge setbacks for the team. And I maintain he mishandled J.C. Jackson, John. You know, that New England Patriot, big money free agent, started to have problems with his ankle. I don't know whether it was a cyst. It was not structural, but he had problems with the ankle. They went in, they cleaned the wound. He didn't practice for 2 weeks. Then he did a walkthrough. He had 1 day of actual ramped up practice. He played 37 snaps, and he hasn't been the same since, and he hasn't played since. So I think Staley and his people have to be held accountable for the handling of the J.C. Jackson situation. A lot of questions about Justin Herbert. Herbert's wearing a heavy flak jacket. Herbert, I believe, has taken a painkilling injection. Most everybody who gets those type of injuries does. But, John, the big issue with that type of injury, this is not an overnight thing that gets healthy. This is going to linger 4 to 6 weeks. We don't know that because he's refused to answer questions, how many ribs and how much rib cartilage was damaged. Was it 1 rib? Was it 3 ribs? Going to take a long time. Credit to the player. He wants to be on the field. But if he's not 100%, John, does it not put your team at a real disadvantage? I don't think I would have played him last week. I would have played Chase Daniel. Maybe they would have been able to win with Chase Daniel because they would have run the whole 100% of the playbook. I don't think they got anywhere near doing what they want to do because of the Justin Herbert injury. I think there were limitations. That's my take, but boy, they are really badly banged up. Your take?
I mean, it's interesting because, I mean, I don't want to wish any injury on anybody, obviously, but it just seems that the Chargers always have this like a cloud hanging over them, that they always have these high expectations. They've got a great roster on paper, but they just get bitten by the voodoo, you know, that they always seem to find a way to lose when they should be winning.
Last year, the right side of the offensive line was decimated. Right guard, right tackle. It really impacted the kid quarterback, although he worked his way through it. Last year, they did not have much of a power running game. Austin Ekeler finally got that game going. Now their problem is at the left tackle, the most important spot in the offensive line, and they can't run the football. They are almost last in the NFL in running the football. And they do have Austin Ekeler, and they do have Sonny Michel. Maybe they're going to change some pieces there. Josh Kelly is more of a physical runner, but he has a history of fumbles. What are they going to do at running back? So they are not a complete football team right now, which is a shocker from where you and I were with them emotionally.
Yeah.
First week of the season. And Brandon Staley's 2-5 as a head coach. Think about that number.
That's just awful.
Well, what a bright light he was the first half of last season. It all seemed to catch up to him.
Well, what about, I mean, Bosa, a groin injury? I mean, that could take a long time. I mean, they're saying 6 to 8 weeks, but it could conceivably take him out the whole year, right?
Well, they've said no. They think he'll be back towards the end of the season, but that's way down road. And they don't have legitimacy and depth in the pass rush department. They will play Chris Rumph, who is only a part-time player. Now he's going to have to be an NFL starter. And because he's not a game changer, that means on the other side, they'll double team Khalil Mack. So now if you're not getting there with either Rumph or Mack who's getting double teamed, that means blitz package. Now that's sure that might mean Derwin James, but that means you're going to have single coverage, leaving those cornerbacks naked in the secondary. So Chargers got real issues. What helps them is they're playing a downtrodden Houston team that is 30th in the NFL in offense. Then they go play Cleveland, but those won't be easy games considering how many people they don't have on the roster. So that's the storyline on the Bolts.